Hi everyone, welcome back to AFTV News Daily. I'm here with Turkish, which means we can have a proper show because last night's was absolute carnage.
I see it started in the chat already.
Yeah, it's already, so they're straight on it. How do you, someone goes, where's E-Rick at? Where's Eric? Eric, I don't know, hopefully Eric will join us in the comments because it's actually a good comment. Cecil just ruined it. Anyway, but Cecil's not here. Where is Cecil? Busy. He'll be back tomorrow. Am I dinner with him tomorrow night?
Tomorrow it's me again with you.
Oh, it's me and you again. Oh, that's right. He's back Thursday.
We have Chris here, says Turkish is here. I'm out. See you later, Chris. Have a good evening, yeah? I'm here tomorrow as well, so.
Oh, God. Oh, no. Okay, that's a sour start. Anyway, please come back. It's fine. We've still got Brennan in the background. He's trying to put us off. Anyway, let's get to it because there is stuff to talk about. We're not just here to clown around like yesterday, which I don't know how we got a show out of that, but we did. Yeah. We have stuff to talk about. Why is it whenever there's Granit Xhaka news, I'm on this show with you?
I know.
Which means
that's what we call it.
Yeah, I think it is. There's kind of conflicting reports, so I kind of want to. I think we've done the whole Xhaka at Arsenal. Is it right? He moves on. We've done that. I kind of want to talk about why it's taking so long and whether maybe this is evidence of Arsenal doing good business in this window for once, not doing good. We'll chat about that. We want to talk a little bit more about Lokonga. Obviously, yesterday caught up in the whole Eric stuff. We talked about the signing. We're happy about it, but I think we should read a little bit of what Arteta and Edu have had to say, what Lokonga's had to say himself, and then just do you know what? I'll get this out of the way actually now. Start the show and then we can end on a high. Because there is some sad news about Ivan Gazidis, who we know was he CEO at the club? Was that his official role? I think he was CEO. He was anyway.
Yeah.
I should know the official role. Forgive me, but pretty much was running things at Arsenal. I mean, we didn't have a director of football between him and Arsene Wenger. They ran the club for a long time. Ivan Gazidis has been diagnosed with throat cancer, and I just want to say that we wish him all the best. He's now obviously at AC Milan. Sad news, but I think from what I've been reading, they're as sad as the news is. I think they're positive about what the sort of final outcome will be, and we wish him well with his recovery. So yeah, let's talk about Granit Xhaka.
Yeah, let's
go straight into it. Again. Hopefully
for one of the last times in my life. Sorry, but I know there's going to be a couple more before he goes. So it has to be one of the last times.
I just know that we'll face him one day. He's one of those players I know that once he leaves, we won't have seen the back of him.
Yeah.
Whether it's Switzerland knocking Turkey out of the Euros or Roma knocking Arsenal out hopefully one day Champions League.
The roundabout comes full circle.
He'll be back at the Emirates one day. I've got no doubt. Maybe Arsene Wenger will be managing him, or Unai Emery, and they'll be back.
Arsene Wenger.
They'll be back at the Emirates. Okay, let's just talk about what the reports are saying at the moment. Conflicting a little bit. Fabrizio Romano saying that Roma are preparing a new bid. Paperwork and sort of terms aren't an issue. It's just getting Arsenal to accept the right fee. Before we delve into that, the other conflicting reports that he's basically expected for training at Roma next week.
Yeah.
It's all but done. Let's touch on that for Romano news firstly. I think it's interesting that Arsenal seemingly have this deal in their grasp and they've not managed to get it over the line. The typical criticism is ditherers, why taking so long, get it done. Mm-hmm. But actually, is this evidence of Arsenal maybe being smarter in the market than perhaps they have been previously?
I don't think we can look at it like that, because we could potentially say the same thing about Ainsley Maitland-Niles last summer when Wolves offered us about 15 mil. I think a lot of people were saying, he's worth 20, 25 mil. Yeah, English player tax and all of that nonsense.
Yeah.
And a year later...
Never applies to the players we're selling.
Yeah, and a year later, he's worth less than that, So, in my opinion, there's a lot of players at Arsenal where their value's diminished over time because the club has diminished over time. We've gone backwards having acquired some of these players, so they're not worth as much as when we once bought them. You've just got to get it done now, At the end of the day, the atmosphere in the dressing room is a big thing. And in the last, I'll say 5 years, we can talk about 10, 15, but in the last 5 years, it's evident that the atmosphere and aura in the dressing room is not a winning one.
Right.
It's not a mentally ambitious one. It's one of just sit back, relax, and enjoy life.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's the core reason why, regardless of value, just get rid of some of these players now, because it's more damaging having them around the new players that hopefully will be coming in.
So that's interesting what you've broken down there, because that's essentially you saying it's more about getting the player out the door, and quite frankly, for the money we spent and the money we're getting back, whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. We're going to make a loss on the guy, which would you expect? No, probably not. I guess the point you're making is we're not dealing with figures here that really matter too much. Whereas I'm kind of asking the question, I would love to know what you guys think in the comments. You know, is this Arsenal saying, listen, whatever we're going to accept, it's going to be a good deal for you, but, you know, don't take the piss out of us. That kind of feels, to me, what's going on is we're willing to sell, you know, we're willing to do business, you know, we need to let players go, that's fine. But at the same time, unless we bring in a starting central midfielder, whether we agree or not, clearly Arteta fancies Xhaka as some sort of starter for him. So he's probably saying, listen, you're not going to get him for less than 22, 23 or whatever, 18, 70. Well, I think the opening bid was like 12 plus 5 in add-ons. You know, as much as I'm ready for Xhaka to move on, even I would say no, because it's not worth Arsenal being mugged off like that, regardless of what you think of the player. Do you know what I mean? There's got to be a degree of we're going to stand our ground, especially after the Euros.
There's got to be compromise on it, especially if a team comes in with such a low ball offer of 12 mil. Even though I can understand why they've come in with that offer. The players obviously had enough at Arsenal. It hasn't gone his way. The fans are on his back. It's not going to get any better. So I can understand why they've come in like that. But in terms of not allowing other clubs to take the piss out of us, the club have put themselves in that position, you know? And it's time the club start reversing that. But I feel like going about it in the wrong way can be more damaging yet again. Because, okay, cool, we don't accept, let's just say worst case scenario, Roma offer 18 mil. We don't accept it, Xhaka stays. We have another season outside the top 6. Next season, Xhaka might be worth 15 mil, or closer to that 12 mil than we, originally thought. Having had another season down the
Euros to kind of maybe pad it up a little bit.
Let's just take what we can now, compromise on it, try and push for as much as possible, but at the same time understand that we've just got to get the ball rolling now. We've only brought in 2 backup players into a squad that needs at least 3 starting players. So as being the key word. So as much as we've got 2 signings over the line, okay, Ben White will be the first starting 11 signing for us. Still far from enough. So if we need money, then if it's 18 mil for Xhaka or 22 mil for Xhaka, get it done.
Is this the summer where, if you're Arteta and Edu and you're trying to figure out what you're playing with this summer in terms of a budget, and you go to Stan and Josh, is this the summer where you say to them, listen guys, the regime you've had for the last 5-6 years, and let's get this right, regardless of what you think of this current regime, the point is they're here. But they can go to them and say, the people you've had spent 35 on Mustafi when they could have got him earlier in the window for 24. They spent 35 on Xhaka when he had none of the attributes to specifically suit the Premier League. They spent 17 on Lucas Perez only to let him go for like 2 million the year after. There's been some terrible money spent. Do you think they might have gone with we know you spend a lot of money and you're probably thinking, where's the return on our investment? Because there's fairness to the Cronkies. They spent in drips and drabs a lot of money. It's not necessarily been
since Mesut Ozil, we've spent more than the years gone before that.
So they're probably thinking, where's our return on investment? We were getting top 4, then we spent this money, then we haven't won any titles or Champions Leagues or anything. So is this the summer, to end this very long question, where Arteta and Edu maybe have said, you're going to need to keep investing and accept losses on your Xhakas, Maitland-Niles and Nketiah, whoever. You're going to accept that you're not going to get the kind of money you think you're going to get on these players you're selling, but you're going to end up with a squad whose potential value in 2-3 years time is double treble what it is now. Your Lokongas, your Tavares. Do you get what I'm saying? You almost have to sell it as almost patience to them. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, but it's also excuses again. Because look, the way I see it is, Arsenal, when Wenger left, should have had the overhaul then. We had given them more than enough time, and a lot of people after Wenger left cleaned the slate for the owners, and the overhaul should have happened then. the influx of young players coming in should have happened then. The chance to, earn your place in the Arsenal side for the next 5 years, opportunities, hunger coming from Haaland, etc. We could have dealt with that for a couple seasons and then understood that, okay, we haven't got the finances available now, but giving the youth the chance, we will do in a year or two. But 3 years after Arsene Wenger, still dithering over Xhaka and Bellerin and Lacazette, even's another one with a year left or 11 months left now. It's not proactive enough. It's one thing spending more, because you're right, they did start spending more. Yes, not in large chunks at every window, but here and there. But it's not enough. I feel like 15 years of patience warrants a spending spree like a Man City, Chelsea have done.
Chelsea last summer is a good example of it. Yeah, I think so. I know you've got super chats. Before you take it,
but Chelsea's example last summer was off the back of a summer where they didn't spend much. So you see that type of owner. I say not much. They would obviously had the transfer ban, but they got 50 million Kovacic over the line.
Yeah, I think Pulisic as well was a new signing they'd done.
But Roman saw that as, okay, I didn't get a chance to spend on my club last summer, so I'm going to spend what I need to this summer coming. Now, as Arsenal fans, we was patient for 10 to 15 years of no spending, selling your biggest assets, net spend being in the plus. I don't expect you to come in with a 42 million Ozil and one summer and a 30 million Sanchez the next and a 10 million check and think that's enough. I expect after 10, 15 years of you lot watching your wallet in terms of Arsenal Football Club to go out and do something special. And if you don't, it's simply because you don't care. Roman cares.
Yeah. I completely agree with that. I know you got a super chat. Before you take it, Richard K says, swap Lacazette for Immobile from Lazio striker. Obviously, in fairness, was the starting striker for Italy who won the Euros, but having watched him all Euros, it's not the one for me. It's not a deal I would do personally.
Yeah, because then you'd end up committed to a player that's probably had his best years behind him, and
also I wasn't just that impressed by him at the Euros, if I'm honest. But
I agree.
Yeah,
and we've got another super chat here from Kyle. Kyle says, I read somewhere last season that Martinelli was being prepped to be a striker, hence lack of game time. If this is true, would you be happy if he was a replacement for Laka? I always said going into the summer that with Balogun's new contract and having Martinelli there, if Arsenal were to fix all their priorities in terms of right back, central midfield, a couple bodies, attacking midfield, backup left back, backup keeper and so on, then I'd be happy going into the season with Oba as the first choice striker and Martinelli and Balogun fighting it out for the next in line, and also maybe the next in line in the long term for Arsenal, because Oba's only got a couple of years left. I would have been happy with that. But now it's like we've dithered over Laka. He's into 11 months now. We've got 3 weeks left till the season starts. It doesn't look like he's going.
Yeah.
It seems like we're just going to have another season of trying to fit Oba and Laka into the same side, which costs Martinelli game time, which is a similar problem to when Willian came in and cost Reece Nelson game time, and so on. And the value of these players diminish.
Yeah. I completely agree. When I look at what Chelsea can sell some of their youngsters for, youngsters have made no appearances. It's a genius model because it's almost like they recognise early on which youngsters realistically have a future at the club, which not. Reality is 98% of them don't.
Yeah.
But they sell them well, and it's maybe not nice to say, and I don't like this terminology, but the function of an academy is to develop the young players you've got, and if they're not good enough for the first team, the second best thing is that they can be sold for a profit.
Yeah.
Not nice to talk about players in that way, but that is just the reality of this industry. So I think Arsenal have really messed up because they almost tried to bring in too many Haalanders at once. Joe Willock, Maitland-Niles, they've had peaks in terms of their value. I'm not sure they're going to have a higher value than they have this summer and last summer.
Yeah.
So I agree. And back on that Martinelli point, I think he's a better winger than he is striker. I like him getting the ball in space and running at players. I think he's good at committing. I also like him. I think there's an obsession sometimes with players who can score goals and saying we'll get them up front. Yeah, but if they're scoring goals from the position they're in, then great. That's what we talked about, goals from midfield. And I think Arteta fell into that a little bit when I think he recognised Smith Rowe did have an eye for goal and played him as the false nine because he thought, well, either way he might nick a goal. No, if he gets you goals from midfield, keep him in midfield. And I think the same with Martinelli. So, yeah, it's a good question. But I think
like Martinelli there as well. I wouldn't be against it. And when he did play there, the few times he played with Oba, they kind of transitioned well together.
Yeah,
Oba
they did
would
actually.
fall off on the left, Martinelli would come in, Martinelli would press high. He's good at that. But if need be, slots back in on the left and covers that, the left back position, whoever was there when he was playing.
Yeah.
So I like Martinelli in that position, and I think in terms of his development and his style of football is creative. He might not be the most creative player, but the fact he drives and he shows hunger, and when he gets the ball, he's very direct. That's a creative attribute.
Yeah.
We lack that.
Yeah.
Behind the striker.
No, I completely
agree. So I think
agree.
using him there would probably benefit him more in the next year or so.
Yeah, potentially. I'm just going to take this comment here from Mukil. If you're going to come at me, just at least get your facts right. He says Martinelli never played as a striker, so yeah, he's only better at left wing. James, keep waffling. He actually played up front a lot in the Europa League and the cup games under Unai Emery, and he scored a lot of goals. So that's why people are talking about him as a striker. But I just think he's better on the left. So if you had to pick one position for him going forward,
next season, Alba has to be our striker. Because we have to know.
I think I agree with that. Yeah.
He's going to be the one for the next couple of years, or whether next summer we should just cut our losses and get what we can.
Yeah.
So Alba's our starting striker, and Martinelli would. Right now, Martinelli would start on the left, and I think even bringing in a 10, I'd prefer Martinelli on the left to Emile Smith-Rowe. So
okay.
yeah,
interesting.
I'd be starting Martinelli on the left because his characteristics we lack in abundance. His hunger, his passion, his fight, his determination. You can just see it. He doesn't have to have the ball to see it. You can see it at all times, and that's what I love.
He's infectious.
Yeah,
he's infectious. Well, he is away currently with the Brazil Olympic team. We wish him all the best there, but it's just a shame that we can't have him for the start of the new season. I'd love to have been seeing Martinelli in pre-season now. Nothing Arteta or anyone can do about that, or Arsenal. That their policy is that if a player's called up, they're allowed to go. But there's just a little part of me that just wishes, I don't know. I know the Brazilian national team have always taken the Olympics quite seriously. It's like a rite of passage for a lot of players. I think Neymar played in 2 of them, maybe.
Yeah.
Definitely
played in 1, but
obviously, I don't really care about it in a footballing sense, but it's, I guess Martinelli and the Brazilian team did, and I wish we had him. But yeah, that pretty much rounds up the Xhaka news. He is expected to join Roma in the next week. I think this is one that will move quite quickly throughout the rest of this week, so we'll see what happens.
Fingers crossed, people. Fingers crossed.
We'll be keeping you updated, obviously, on Transfer Daily, which you can see here on AFTV, and on all the news daily streams that we do every weekday. Let's talk a little bit more about Albert Sambi Lokonga. One of the reasons I wanted to go into this is, in a second, I'm going to load up sort of some of his statements and stuff since he joined the club, what Arteta and Edu have had to say. But I want to get your opinion because, we had the welcome video that I did with Robbie.
Yeah.
I did the Transfer Daily Extra. I did the show yesterday with Cecil, the day that it was announced. I've more than said my bit on Lokonga. What are your thoughts on this signing? 18 million as well is quite a bit of money. I actually don't know where you stand on it.
Shall I be honest with you? And it's going to be another...
Oh, no.
It's going to be another perspective that a lot of people might not like, but it's the reality. When I saw it and I saw 17.5 mil plus, 4.5 in add-ons?
Something like that.
That brings it to roughly 22 mil.
Yeah, he's
Let's
about
say
22.
considering his age, he'll reach the add-ons. Let's say 22 mil.
Yeah.
He's a backup central mid, right?
Well, for now, I suppose.
If we bought Samari, would he start for us?
Probably.
At 23 mil. And that's where my pessimism comes in, because we could have bought a starting player
Why are you doing this for me, Turkey?
there next to Partey. We could have been sorted. 23 mil, we could have brought him in, and our central midfield, we've got a starting combination there. But instead, we dilly-dally with Lokonga. We get him in for just under what Leicester bought Samari in for. And we still need a central midfield partner for Thomas Partey.
But if they get the central mid partner for Thomas Partey, would that change your stance on Lokonga?
I don't know much about Lokonga.
Yeah.
I hope it works
that's
out.
part of what I love about it.
Well, I hope it works
Do you
out.
know what I mean?
A lot of the legends at Arsenal Football Club, a lot of the names on that poster behind you, we didn't know much about them before coming in. Wenger, that he was an expert at that time. He'd come and get an unknown gem and they'd leave a legend.
Yeah.
So that's always nice.
Yeah.
And I'd want that for any signing at Arsenal Football Club. But with Lokonga, I don't know enough. I've heard and read decent things. He looks like he's developing well, but this is a massive step up for him.
Yeah. When you look at a player and you think, we're yet to see if you can do it at this level, but I'm very encouraged by at least the attributes. And what I mean by that is he looks very athletic, he looks very good on the ball, he looks quick. And these things for a central midfielder in the Premier League have become so crucial recently. Kind of almost those already like tick, tick, tick. you qualify on that.
Yeah.
Now let's see what you do. Is the mentality right? Are you up to speed with the pace? Can you just generally play at that level? We'll see. But I think the kind of reviews from Belgian journalists, from players or managers, whoever who followed him, even just seeing the clubs he's been linked with over the years, he seems a real talent. And I've got to say, I will give Arsenal credit for this, right? When we went into the window, what were we saying? A right back and 2 central mids are priority.
Yeah.
Then you're saying backup goalkeeper.
Yeah.
And then whatever else. Then you're basically, it's all sort of touch-ups in other areas, right? But that was the priority. If Arsenal still deliver on all those things, the number 10, the central midfielder and the right back, but they've also spent 50 million on a centre back. They've also spent 20 million on, who knows, maybe the next best thing in Belgian football in central midfield. That for me shows a level of ambition I've not seen from the club for a long time. Not just doing the business they had to do, which is what Arsenal at best have given us over the years, but actually doing the business they want to do as well. Am I being too positive?
No, you're not.
You get what I mean?
That is definitely one way to look at it.
Okay.
Definitely one way. But history tells us that the window doesn't often work out like that.
Yeah.
And what this window also tells us is with 3 weeks to go till the season starts, we haven't got a starting 11 player in. We've bought 2 backups.
Yeah.
If you're an ambitious club that needs 3-4 starting players, surely with 3 weeks to go until the season starts, you've got at least 2 in, and your backups are kind of lower down the priority list in a sense.
True. So I agree with all that. I really do. Don't get on me in the comment section, but I'm going to play devil's advocate for fun. I read some quotes from Ralph Hasenhüttl, who basically said the window is just effed, basically. Like, we can't buy because we need players to buy the players we thought were in demand, but no one actually wants our players, so we can't buy. No one's got any money, nothing's flowing. And I took a second to stop and think, do you know what? This has been the deadest transfer window. For all the hype of where's Haaland going, where's Mbappe going, is Ronaldo staying at Juve, is Pogba going? For all that hype, Jack Grealish, Harry Kane, nothing's happened. Is it fair to say that I was getting irate with Arsenal 2 weeks ago? Is it fair to say that actually for Arsenal's history doesn't bode well, but maybe we do have to just, I'm not saying let them off if they don't have the window that we want, I'm not saying that, but give them the time to accept, you know what, maybe it just wasn't going to happen as quickly as we thought or hoped. And there's evidence of other clubs being in that situation.
And a couple of people have mentioned the other clubs thing. But at Arsenal Football Club, I think we shouldn't focus on other clubs. Like, no other club has taken the piss out of their fan base like Stan Kroenke and our owners. No other club. We can talk about Mike Ashley and Newcastle fans, and Mike Ashley is a horrible owner, terrible, and him and Kroenke will definitely be a debate about who's worse. But Newcastle were not in the position we was in.
Debate.
But Newcastle were not in the position we was in.
Right, yeah.
When they, Mike Ashley took over, Kroenke took over the Invincibles, legendary side, legendary players, young players coming through, a new stadium. He's taken the complete piss out of us. So focusing on other clubs, in a sense, for me, isn't the best way to go about it. It reminds me of 2019 window, when a lot of fans turned around to me in the first few weeks of the season and said, we spent the most that summer ahead of Chelsea, Liverpool, Man United and all that. And I get that. But why are we just focused on that fact alone? Did we do enough that summer? Evidently not. We finished 8th 2 years in a row. So why don't we focus on the facts of the matter, which is we never do enough in the window, not what are Liverpool doing, what are Chelsea doing, what are City doing, Leicester, what are they doing, and trying to make ourselves feel better, because in a way that kind of lets the owners get away with things again.
Yeah, and also I think sometimes people our frustration with the Kroenkes and the running the football club, I think some people's understanding of it is slightly skewed. We're not always, sometimes we are, but we're not necessarily always sitting here saying spend money, spend money, spend money. If your business model is Roman Abramovich's, that you can spend 55 million on a striker who's not clearly not a very good goal scorer, at least at Premier League level, it doesn't matter, because they'll go again and they'll go again. And you throw enough money at it, some will hit, some will miss. You keep firing coaches, some will hit, some will miss. You're going to come out with the odd Champions League. I'm not knocking that. They've got the money to do that, that's cool. But I think we actually recognise as Arsenal fans that that's not the club Arsenal are going to be.
Nope.
Even if the Cronkies were to suddenly care and make Arsenal their prized possession and do everything they could with the club, we still, I don't think, are demanding or expecting that level of investment. But we're asking for something a bit smarter then. At least a degree of competence.
Yep.
Nicolas Pepe, I think, actually is going to have a much better season. After the way he ended last year and the last sort of 4 or 5 months of the season, I'm very encouraged by what we could get from Pepe this season. But anyone would tell you that 72 million was a really stupid deal to do. Even at the time, I think a few of us were going, yeah, Pepe, but 72? That's, wow, okay. I'm not sure about that. And because of that, we ended up getting a backup centre-back who wasn't quite at the required level, and so on and so forth. So I get your frustration. I think what we're basically trying to say here as a fan base is we're just looking for a degree of competence. And if we don't get those other positions, then I'll agree with your stance about Lokonga and White and everything else. But if we do get those other players, then I'm encouraged by those deals as well, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
If you get what I mean.
I'll see you here September the 1st agreeing with me.
I'm going to book a holiday. I want to be away. I mean, look, I might well be. I lost, I won't say I lost composure, but I went from kind of calm to actually really frustrated a couple of weeks ago because I just said, what is happening?
Yeah.
By this point, we hadn't announced anyone.
Yeah. And then you slowly try and think about the positives, if you can find any, and
You try
to work out how. Yeah, people like fans are like that as well. I understand that you want to hope and believe and be in love with the club. You want to. I want to.
Yeah. I don't believe, despite Thomas Tuchel winning the Champions League, I don't believe he's happy that Chelsea haven't done any business yet. I think he's probably at home thinking, this is so frustrating.
Yeah.
How have we not got anyone yet with 2-3 weeks of the season to go? Because the Champions League, it's never a fluke, but it's also a manager bout some really good form and some quality players can win you a Champions League sometimes. But winning a Premier League is different. I'd argue it's harder. And so, I don't know, do you think it's harder? Anyway,
a 38 game season is hard, 100%.
Yeah, okay, I'd say it's harder, but my point is he'll know that, and I'm saying I'm sure we're not the only fan base frustrated by what's going on right now in this window, and maybe important to remember that sometimes.
But we are the most bent over fan bases,
and we are also probably the club furthest from where we belong in terms of position.
And that's a good way to put it. I keep on saying bent over, but that's a very good way to put it because we are the club that shouldn't be looking
furthest
around
from
us.
where we belong, bent over.
Yeah, one or the other.
And actually, where we belong maybe sounds a bit entitled, but if you went on what fans pay for merchant tickets, the wealth of the owner, the size of the football club, the size of the fan base, it would all tell you that Arsenal belong in the top 3 of English football. Yeah, if you're just going on that alone, and we are the furthest probably from where we kind of, let's say, statistically belong, than maybe other clubs. Yeah, Man United will probably feel that they belong first. They should be top of the tree, but they're second in the table, or they were last season. Interesting. Should we take some super chats because we've sort of neglected them for a while? Martin with a super chat says, "Why do people care so much about outgoings? It's not our bank account sustainable model up in flames. Kroenke has to spend on signings with his own money." It's not a bad point. Why do we care so much about outgoings?
Because it's the character in the dressing room is not at the place it should be. So we need to get them out. If you bring in new players into this dressing room, the players that are taking them around London, showing them the new property and the new training ground are Wallies at the moment. And they have been for a good few years. Hence why a lot of players that come here turn into Wallies. Because it's a lack of character and ambition in the dressing room. It's one thing coming into a dressing room where Tony Adams and Patrick Vieira are taking you around. It's another thing to come into Xhaka and Bellerin. I'm not going to say no more on that. But that is the reality.
Fair enough. Alistair says, James, it's not Xhaka. All right, Xhaka. I'm sorry. Listen, it's not Monroe, okay? Leave me alone. It's not that bad. FM Shake says, we absolutely need to prioritise the midfield. We have enough cover at right back. It's honestly scary to think about how many important midfielders we have leaving the squad this summer. This led me to a question. I think I touched on it with Cecil yesterday. Let's say we don't get a right back. Let's say Bellerin, Chambers, Cedric, Maitland-Niles there to hold the fort. Well, I think Bellerin's off, by the way. So Chambers, Maitland-Niles, Cedric all capable footballers. I wouldn't say any of them are screaming, yeah, right back for the next 3-4 years. Would you be happy keeping those three as the right back options if Arsenal were to do something mental and sign James Maddison and Locatelli? If they did that, and those are the only two signings left we made this season, maybe a
Maddison
backup,
and Locatelli, yeah?
Yeah, say that. And maybe, or Maddison and Basuma and a backup goalkeeper on loan. We haven't covered every position as we said that we demand the club do.
But you've spreaded the quality out a bit more.
Yeah, I'd say so.
And I'd say in an Arsenal transfer window, that would be a definitely better window than last summer. Definitely a better. So you're talking about Ben White, Locatelli and Maddison.
Ben White, Locatelli, Maddison coming into
And
the
the
first
rest of the
11.
little, yeah.
Lokonga, Tavares for
Just
depth.
no new right back.
And a goalkeeper. Basically, no new right back, no new striker. You know,
That's an 8 out of 10 window.
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty decent.
Positive. There you go, people.
Yeah, wow.
That can be. Just
I cracked a smile.
Get Maddison and Locatelli over the line, and then we can maybe talk about a good transfer window.
Well, it also shows Arteta and Edu in the club that we have high demands for the clubs, because I think we've let our demands and our expectations slip over the years.
Yeah.
However, we're not unreasonable. If someone said to me, look, Arsenal are going to go into next season, but you're going to be a little bit weaker right back. You're not going to have the Tierney equivalent on that side, but you're going to really strengthen the midfield, which is a problem. That would feel like progress to me. And then maybe the summer after, when Lacazette's off, you get that new starting striker and you get right back, and then that's it. You know, maybe upgrade on Leno. Maybe that's when you feel we've had another year of Leno, it's not quite working out. We're just asking for a degree of significant progress, something that shows you care about the development of this squad.
Yeah.
I think the signings are showing that so far, but there's a lot to do.
We are very fair as a fan base.
I think we are.
Even down to me.
Yeah.
I feel like as angry as I am with the owners and as pessimistic as I am sometimes, I'm still very fair. Like next season, there was a super chat here from someone. I don't know if it's up there yet, but it's asking what would a good season be for Turkish next season? Let me just see what it says. Jacob, what would Turkish consider as a good season next season?
Question.
Yeah. Now listen, off the cuff, a lot of people will say top 4 minimum. Yeah. But for me, the reality is, even if we have a 10 out of 10 window, we're not going to get top 4.
Okay. Wow.
And that is because I see 4 clubs in the league that if they do what they're supposed to do next season, then they will be top 4. And that's
City. Okay, go on.
City, Liverpool, Chelsea, United. Yeah. Right. And that's a United with Varane. I assume they're going to get that one over the line soon.
Yeah. They're only getting better.
So if those 4 clubs do what they're meant to do next season, which doesn't happen every season now, especially last season where the opportunities were there to be taken for top 4, we didn't take it. Well, we wasn't even close to it. Those 4 teams should make it. Let's say one of them drop out. At the moment, with the window we're having, I'd say Leicester are much better equipped than us, and then even behind Leicester, it's a pool of teams which we might be involved in.
Spurs, Villa, Everton, any one of them could be there.
Yeah. That's with one team dropping out. So we're already hoping on another team failing to allow us an opportunity for top 4, not even primed in that position. So it might honestly be a 10 out of 10 window where we cover all the bases you've just said, including a right back. With so much overhaul, I can't expect top 4 this season coming. And it would be unfair for me to just say top 4 or nothing, because that, in my opinion, is impossible.
Wow.
So a challenge, to answer the question, to be challenging for top 4 next season with a few weeks to be remaining would be a step up, would be a positive step, and obviously that includes performances throughout the season, consistency, a bit of grit, a bit of heart. It's more character traits and that I want to see with a little challenge for top 4.
Okay, so if you couple that, let's say they finish 5th or 6th, they've challenged for top 4. The squad's in a much better place in terms of the personnel, the personalities, whatever, and we've played some good football under Arteta. Has he done a good job for you, and would he keep the job? Would you say, yeah, fair enough, we keep going with him?
Well, we've gone through worse with him, so
yeah, but I don't think you would have accepted.
I'd be happily surprised, because at this moment in time, I don't think Arteta's equipped enough for the job. I don't think he has the experience for it.
Okay.
So if we was to end the season with a challenge for top 4 and maybe a good cup run or a cup somewhere, then listen, Arteta will have to get the season after. And that's with, like you said, player development, consistency, a bit more heart, passion, fight. All of that matters. It's not about getting fifth, how we've got fifth in the past, which is maybe a late run or scraping it in the last few. I want a consistency from start to end of the season.
Yeah, and you want to feel like whoever we missed out on top 4 to has deserved it.
Yeah.
You know. Okay, I hear that. Let's take some super chats. Shalito says, if Arteta chooses to buy Aouar, I believe we will play 4-3-3 with Partey and a holding midfielder such as Lokonga or someone else. I'm going to touch on some Lokonga quotes in a sec. We've got a super chat from Hedda, but no comment. But thank you very much for the super chat, Hedda. Freddie says, Turkish, what do you think about Robbie buying the new shirt? Let's get to that in a sec.
What do you think? I think.
Yeah, I'm sure he loves it. FM Shake says, big up. Oh God, he's calling us. Well, it doesn't really work with James. I'm not gonna lie, but he's calling you Turkish. Last night's
from last night's, yeah.
We need to get Cecil on Duolingo. Also, petition to get Eric on the show. We'd have to get Eric on the show. Head over the super chat. What about who's? I don't know this player. A player I don't know. Do you know this player? I'm worried I'm getting baited.
Yeah, sometimes you might be. What's that?
Anyway.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it in French because it sounds French. And apparently he plays for Nice. Boule-moi from Nice. Apparently he's cheap. Header, I don't know who that is. I'll be honest, I'm not clued up. So either it's a troll or it's just a player I don't know, because there are a lot of players in the world that I don't know about, funnily enough. Apparently we've got a super chat from the man, or a chat from the man himself. But just very quickly, Jay Ling's fam, the super chat says, is Ben White a better signing than Varane? No, I don't think he is. Do I think he has the potential to be? Yeah, I do. But no, you can't say categorically right now that he is.
Never, especially at the same price.
Well, even cheaper, I think.
Yeah, even cheaper, yeah.
Jacob says, I think it might be pronounced Jakub, says, what would Turkish consider a good season? You've answered that one. Here he is. Eric is here. Eric, thank you.
Man said Eric. How can you get this name wrong, Cecil?
I know.
My God.
He's here. This is my preferred 22-man squad to start the season. Top 4 minimum. Laka Balogun, Aubameyang, Saka, Aouar. So Aouar is one of your signings. Smith Rowe, Pepe, Martinelli, Locatelli, Willock, Partey, Lokonga, Tierney, Tavares, Gabriel Mari, White Holding, Aarons, Ainsley, Leno, and to be confirmed on the goalkeeper. I think we'd all be bloody delighted with that squad, wouldn't we?
Aarons, Locatelli, and Aouar coming in.
So essentially,
With White, obviously, yeah.
That would suggest him. I think if he signed Aouar over, say, a Madison, or he didn't get Buendia, obviously, that would suggest he wants to play more of a 4-3-3.
Yeah.
Which I have a problem with it. So, Eric, good to see you back. Eric, good to see you back. Oh, we know it's Eric, by the way. Thanks, Cecil. Jayling's fam again. James, is Ben White a better sign than Varane? Thank you again for the super chat. We've answered that. Someone, Vishal says, Eric the GOAT. Eric is the GOAT, man. Gregory asked James, what's your thoughts on Sergio Roberto from, you've not said who it's from, I assume Barcelona. Good player, but he's a bit more of a utility player. I mean, very good, but he's not a specialised right back, and I'd like to see Arsenal start going for some specialised right back.
We need it.
Any comments you want to take? Aouar and Max Aarons to Arsenal needed. You're a fan of Max Aarons, aren't you?
Yeah, I'll definitely take Aarons. I would have taken him last summer as well.
Yeah, I would have.
There's a few right backs out there. And listen, like you mentioned earlier, in terms of every signing's a risk.
Yeah.
You could sign a player bang in form, and then he shows up a different player. Every player is a risk. So I understand Max Aarons. Maybe he hasn't got enough experience. Maybe he isn't the ideal. Maybe he's not a Hakimi. I can understand that.
Right.
But we need to take risks.
Yeah, I completely agree.
And clever risks. Maybe not 72 million risks all the time, but sometimes a shrewd 20-25 million is not as big a risk as,
But how much is a risk picking up a young fullback who's proven he can do in 2 years in the Championship and a year in the Premier League?
True.
I think people need to start giving the Championship more respect for the pool of talent that it has. We've seen a lot of players who go to the Championship prove their worth. I think the top 6 or teams around that level maybe turn their nose, Championship player, I'm not sure. Yeah. Can they do it in Europe or the Champions League? And quite frankly, that model's not done us any favours recently. And actually, a lot of those players have gone on. But even Van Dijk was at Celtic. And I'm honestly not saying this. When he was at Celtic, I was saying, this guy looks good. You know why? But
Yeah.
we all were. But loads of people were.
Yeah.
Van Dijk looks a bloody good player. Why don't we pick him up? Southampton again. Guess what? He's great. And then Liverpool pay ultimately 75 million, and then everyone sees the impact he's had. And, oh, what a great centre back!
Yeah.
We've known for years he's a great centre back, and I think that happens quite a lot. Ben Rama, I think, has looked decent for West Ham, although their fan base seemed quite divided on him. But again, did it at Brentford. Looks a very decent player. Ivan Toney's now down there. There's a lot of players who. Okay, we've got Tavares now, but I remember that Rico Henry at Brentford. I was thinking, why don't we look at someone like him? There's quality in that league that I think we need to take seriously, and the fact that Ben White's proven it in that league for me is a good thing.
Yeah, no, I said similar when we was linked to Buendia. A lot of people
you were saying that, yeah.
Listen, at the end of the day, if we ask majority of fans now, Buendia or Maddison, who you'd rather take, it'd probably be 95% Maddison, 5% Buendia, and maybe half of that 90%. It's because Buendia's only done it in the Championship. Well, Maddison had only done it there too until the club took the risk on him.
At the time. Jack Grealish.
Another one. And now they're worth what they're worth because a club was shrewd enough to pick them up from a place where maybe the bigger clubs would turn their noses up at him.
Is it just me, right? Or is it not very hard? Sorry, but Jack Grealish, when he was in the Championship, we knew he was a very good player.
We knew from when they first went down, let alone...
We knew. Tottenham didn't pay 25 million for him, which is madness. This is where I think there's data, there's science, there's all these things, and that's great. But sometimes I think clubs just need to just stop and just almost take a step back and go, right, who's playing well? Who are the journalists telling me he's a good player? Who are the fans telling me he's a good player? That Jack Grealish. 25 seems a bit much, but, why not? And when you see the money that's spent on other players...
That's what I'm worried about more at Arsenal than anything else. I need to see a strategy. Mm-hmm. I look at Leicester and you can see a strategy.
Yeah, I agree with that.
We were speaking to a Leicester fan earlier today. You wasn't here, but he was around, and I was speaking to him, and he said, we think 2 years in advance in terms of when we sign a player, we know when they're going to get a chance because we know we're going to sell the person in front of them next season. And maybe I think Somari and Didi was used as an example, and potentially looking forward with that one and whatnot. Chelsea with the loans and how much they was criticised for it, but that was a strategy that paid off for them. Regardless of losing out on Salah, De Bruyne, Lukaku, they won titles in Champions League. They don't care. Yeah. Aston Villa seem to be working a strategy. Arsenal still, even this summer, I don't see what they're trying. Right. If we went for Buendia first, and if we got Buendia over the line, maybe then we went for a Basuma or a Ben White or a Max Aarons, then I can see that we'll go into these smaller, maybe relegation threatened club in the Brighton or the ones that have just coming up in a Norwich, and we're taking their best players. Clubs have done that in the past. We see Robertson with Liverpool, we see Grealish Villa, we see Maddison at Leicester before Norwich. That's a strategy. Mm-hmm. So far this summer, Lokonga, Tavares and Ben White. I don't see a strategy from us. I just see...
No, but I see a profile. Younger players who you'd think are only going to get better. Maybe. And it's definitely something Arsenal haven't done a lot of recently. I think we've been trying to sign the present player. I think we thought Willian would be ready to go.
We lack experience so much that if that is the strategy, then I'd be even more worried than thinking there's no strategy, because if we're going for young players when our team is full enough of young players...
I don't know, I say disagree. I think Tavares, Lokonga and Ben White are going to come in as three players who are excited to make a step up and play for a club as big as Arsenal, who you think are only going to get better, and worst comes to worst, you think Arsenal are going to sell them for profit. That's not the worst. The worst comes to worst that they're terrible players, and obviously we don't. But you would think with the reputations, and actually they're not coming in with nothing. They've been playing at the highest level of the clubs that they were at before. They were playing Premier League, they were playing top tier Belgian football. They've been called up to their national squads. I don't know if Nuno Tavares has actually. But he was playing for Benfica. I like the profile there. So if the strategy is we want to start building a team that is going to improve on what we've got now, maybe to 6th, as you said, maybe the year after to 4th, but in 4 or 5 years' time is Premier League and Champions League contenders, I can get on board with that. But is that just a bit too much to ask of the fan base, maybe?
Probably.
Yeah, probably is.
Probably.
Now I've said it out loud.
Because, listen, imagine we're talking to Bukayo Saka or Martinelli, yeah? Mm-hmm. Do Do you think telling them that we're buying players for 5-6 years is gonna convince them to stay at this?
2-3 years.
Okay, you say to them 2-3 years, and then you show them Lokonga, and you show them Ben White, and you show them Tavares.
Right.
Again, I still don't feel like that is enough to be filling them with the confidence moving forward that we should be filling them with in order to keep them at the club and be hopefully successful one day with them.
Yeah.
I think we're running the risk of in 2-3 years we realise that we're still waiting on these young players to fulfil their potential, to reach their prime. But some players who are maybe above us now, maybe Saka and Martinelli at one stage will be wanted by bigger clubs in the next couple of years. They'll have a decision to make. Do they want to stick around with Lokonga, Tavares and Ben White, or do they want to move over to a title winning challenging side?
No, fair enough. I hear that. Let's start rounding off the show. Let's just hear what Lokonga did have to say signing for the club. He said, "It's a big move because I've been playing for Anderlecht for 10 years, so it's going to be my first big move to another country." Bless him. It's like little things like that are like, fair play to you. Yeah, it's a big... I know any of us would do it, but it's a big deal. Like, congrats to him. It's a big step, but I feel confident because we have to be in the football world. You have to feel confident about yourself. But I'm looking to play in this league, and I can't wait to start. He says I can play both. This is when he was asked about his preferred position. He said I can play as a 6 and I can play as a box-to-box, but people say that I'm better in the 6th position. That's really interesting. That's not what I was expecting him to say. I thought he was going to be more of the box-to-box.
Yeah,
you see some of his highlight reels, a lot of his better work seemed to be in the final third with his passing, can nick a goal. But hey, he says he's that, I don't know, Fernandinho type. That,
listen, if we start a season now, I'm starting Partey and Lokonga. As much as I said to you, I don't know much about him early, and someone thought I was trashing him and said that. I'd start him right now, but I'd be worried. But I'm definitely going to start him because I've had enough of the rest of them. So
yeah, I hear that. Well, let's just end on a few.
My things died.
Few
so
comments. Your things. Oh, bad. I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, that's alright, man.
Let's.
Leave you in charge.
Someone says Mr. Weapon says sign Sanogo. Probably not. Kane asks Turkish, how would you feel about getting Jordan Henderson, a leader and a Xhaka upgrade? Wow.
No, he's been there, done that with Liverpool. His heart's there, so we'll be taking a player that he's got nothing to prove, Jordan Henderson, and we need players with everything to prove in a sense.
Yeah.
So for me, Henderson, I admire him, but nah.
Completely agree. I completely agree.
Yeah.
Like, plenty of admiration, but I almost, for him, don't leave Liverpool. It wouldn't be right. Yeah. Some things just don't make sense.
Yeah.
And even if we're getting a player who would walk into our midfield right now, it's not really the point. It just doesn't make sense for anyone involved.
Yeah,
100%. Greg with the super chat says, I'm happy with the players we brought right now, but will it get us top 4? Let's be real. We need a world-class player to get the players excited. That pretty much echoes everything you were saying, Turkish.
Yeah, and even that insinuates that a world-class player comes in and then we can get top 4. I'd argue otherwise.
Mac says Neves and Odegaard and Aarons equals top 4. I disagree. I don't think Neves is a massive upgrade on what we've got in the middle at the moment. I think he probably is, but not to the point where I'm looking at Neves in our midfield and going, yeah, that's a real midfield. Odegaard, as much as I love Odegaard, I saw enough to suggest that there's potential there. He could be that guy. But it's not like James Maddison who comes in and makes you that guy. Like he's that guy already, makes you that team. Like, wow, James Maddison starting for them. And then Aaron's I like a lot, but whether that equals top 4, if you'd said Locatelli, Maddison and Aaron's equals top 4, I don't think it equals it, but I'd say there's a very good chance we could do it. Yeah, if Arteta gets it right.
If one of the other clubs mess about.
If one of the other clubs mess about, Arteta gets it right, lack of European football keeps us focused, I'd say, actually, yeah, that might do it.
Because you're plugging a few holes.
Yeah.
That's the main thing we need to do, plug the holes. There's a lot of holes, so...
Yeah. Dupe has reminded me, absolutely rightly, James, tell the people to hit the likes, bring more interaction to the video. Absolutely spot on. You're very good at this. Cecil's good at it as well.
Yeah.
I'm useless at it. But, go on, take it away, tell him.
Come on, people, man. What's the likes on? We don't even know. It was on 200 not too long ago. Get the likes up to 1,000 people.
Well, it says 46, but I assume
you haven't refreshed, so it is what it is. People, just get it up to 1,000 before we wrap
500. Get to 1,000.
Yeah, we're only halfway there.
You can do that for us, your favourite G on AFTV.
If you want Cronk out, hit the like button.
He can't go one topic of conversation without dropping in.
Listen, we have to just add that in. That's
enough,
the salt. That's the salt on top of the.
Well, look, I think we've gone into that. It's good to talk about the Xhaka move from a different perspective. Good to hear about what Lokonga thinks about his move and his favourite position and stuff. And the transfer window, it's getting interesting.
Yeah.
I think, especially because I expect that between now and Monday next week, there'll have been another name that maybe might have potted up a little bit. 2 are confirmed. White, they're saying, is pretty much all but done.
Yeah.
Who's the next one? And with only 2-3 weeks till the season starts, you got to think something else is going to start moving soon. So
Let's fucking hope so. Let's fucking hope so.
Let's end on this. What would you be prioritising in terms of order 1, 2, 3, 4, and let's say number 10, box to box / holding midfielder, right back and backup goalkeeper. Put those in order of priority right now.
Midfield, middle.
So central midfield.
So either DM or a deep line playmaker.
Okay, right. That's the most. So Arsenal should now go and get that deal done.
Yeah.
You think? Cool.
Right back.
Well, okay. Wow.
Attacking mid third.
Okay.
And then the rest.
And then a backup goalkeeper.
Yeah.
I would swap right back and number 10 because I would like Smith Rowe to just develop nicely this season, not be kind of forced into playing a lot. I think he's going to start the season, which is fine because he's looked great over pre-season, but 2 games we've had. But I don't want to rely on him this season. It's too early for him.
I just see it as with the 3 behind Oba. I'm not more than happy with, but I'm happy to go with if we plug the other positions: Martinelli in the left, Emil Smith Rowe in the middle, and Saka on the right, or Pepe in the left. And you have a bit of a mixture there. Whereas if you ask
Saka can play 10, yeah.
If you ask me, would I be happy with Chambers right back? No. Cedric right back? No. Bellerin right back? Please no. So right now, there's no right backs I'd be happy with going into the season, but there is a 3 behind the striker that I could work with.
Well, then maybe to support your point more, if Arsenal did that, your first 2 priorities and nothing else, you'd probably say at least the first 11's better. You don't have the depth for Smith Rowe, but it's a much better first 11 than if we'd got in a number 10.
Yeah.
But we've not addressed that right back position. So
you need to tackle the priorities, not the backups first, but
very true.
Right backwards.
Fair enough. Well, look, guys, thank you so much for joining. As always, Turk, it's been an absolute pleasure breaking this all down. And guys, just keep it here on AFTV. We've got all sorts of content coming up, especially because the season is... Yeah, we've been talking about it in meetings and stuff.
Yeah.
The season is creeping up on us, and we knew it would, but you still never prepare yourself properly for it. So we've got all sorts of content coming. Supporters Club, another one this week.
Yeah, another one this week.
Yeah.
Have your say. I'll probably do one of those on the Sunday night.
Nice.
Yeah, see what the people are saying.
All right, sounds good. Thanks for joining us. Hopefully more news. Well, there always is in the Arsenal world. An all or nothing documentary wasn't some of the news we were expecting, but so that proves that anything could happen in this world. But go like, subscribe, all that. Check out the Don Robbie channel too. Check out all our content. We'll see you.